then I would caution both of you then that by telling me that you have spoken to the board. Now, you and I did not speak about it. I mean, in passing, very briefly, but so I don't know what the extent of the discussions with other board members has been. But what I will say is, if you're telling me that you don't want to, generally speaking, you don't want to bring things that will waste the public's time or waste our time, or I appreciate that. That makes me concerned that the public is then being clearly deprived of the information contained in those discussions, as am I, because I do not know where I stand with my colleagues on this issue, which is supported by the vast majority of the public. So that's going to be that's my caution on this issue. If we are to remove it, if we are to remove it,
I accept that
Kravetz.
point.
I was just going to say, how do you know it's supported by the vast majority of the public? If you surveyed the whole, you haven't surveyed everybody.
I believe you actually supported it last year in June. So I mean, a lot of people supported it.
Support an internal auditor?
Yeah, I can read your comments if you'd like.
So,
No.
yeah. Board Member Kravetz?
I feel that if we, it's 20/20 hindsight, but perhaps if we had had an internal auditor, we may have avoided some of our more recent pitfalls. I think that there probably is value in bringing back an internal auditor. I know it's an expense, but it is somewhat covering ourselves so that, as I said, we can avoid some of the issues that we've had this year. Thank you.
Board Member Kravetz?
I understand your desire for greater oversight and auditing, but how many people do you envision in an auditing department? Because then that takes away, those are M&O dollars or other dollars that could be spent in or invested in our classrooms. I don't know, while I appreciate the desire for fiscal responsibility, I don't know that a full auditing department is going to yield the results that you envision. We've had auditors before, internal auditors, and correct me if I'm wrong. And, if somebody wants to hide something, it's unfortunately going to get hidden, and I think
Board Member Kravetz, you're right.
as my, how do I phrase this? As my comments from our last meeting were misrepresented with regard to an internal auditor, I would like to be clear. I understand the purpose, I understand the reasons why. I think that, as we've discussed with the previous board, with Mr. Gadd, I think there are other ways of achieving the same goal. And I believe it is from bringing in an outside auditor or some other consultant to review best practices. We've had auditors in the past, twice. And from the 2015 Auditor General Report from the state of Arizona, where they say we've had costs not accurately reporting. In fiscal year 2012, when I believe we had an auditor, the district did not always properly classify its expenditures in accordance with the Uniform Chart of Accounts for school districts. As a result, the district's annual financial report did not accurately reflect its costs, and its reported instructional expenditures were falsely increased by over $5 million, or 3 percentage points. Further, the district has not accurately reported its costs for many years. For example, between fiscal years 2004 and 2009, the district annually reported millions of dollars of electricity costs as instructional spending rather than plant operations spending as required by the Uniform Chart of Accounts. Additionally, in fiscal years 2012 and 2013, the district reported its costs for speech and physical therapy, guidance counseling, and psychology services for students as instructional spending, although the Uniform Chart of Accounts defines these costs as student support services. Further, in fiscal year 2014, the district began misreporting its costs for property liability insurance as instructional spending rather than plant operation spending as required by the Uniform Chart of Accounts. I don't know that having an internal auditor would solve these issues. That is why while I understand the need for fiscal accountability and transparency, I don't know that having an internal auditor will resolve those issues